Hello my dear students, welcome back to the online class of political science. Today we are going to discuss about the meaning of sovereignty and characteristics of sovereignty. Now let us come to the meaning of sovereignty. What does it mean by sovereignty? Sovereignty is one of the most essential, the most important and spiritual element of the state. Spiritual element of the state means it is the soul of the state. Sovereignty is the spirit, the soul and the heart of the state, which distinguish a state from other association. So, sovereignty, it distinguishes the state, it differentiates the state from other association. The state have sovereignty, but the other association does not have sovereignty. Therefore, the state and association is different because the association does not have sovereignty, whereas the state have sovereignty. The term sovereignty has been derived from the Latin word superiorness, which means supreme or paramount. Supreme and paramount means the greatest and the highest. Therefore, etymologically, it means the supreme power of the state. Therefore, sovereignty means the supreme power of the state, the highest power and the greatest power of the state, above which no power exists. There is no other power that exists beyond sovereignty. Sovereignty is the greatest power in the state. There is no other power than sovereignty. Various scholars and thinkers have defined the term in their own way. So many thinkers and scholars, they define sovereignty in their own way, in their own understanding, in their own explanation. According to Bodin, sovereignty is the supreme power of the state over citizens and subjects unrestrained by law. According to Bodin, he said that sovereignty is the highest power of the state over citizen. When the state have supreme power, greatest power, it control its citizens and it is not restrained by law. The supreme power of the state, the greatest power of the state, cannot be stopped by the law of the government. The state are free to use its power according to will by. Sovereignty is the supreme will of the state. Borges defines sovereignty as original, absolute, unlimited power over the individual, subjects, and over all association of subjects. So according to Borges, he defines sovereignty as the original power of the state, the absolute power of the state, the unlimited power of the state to control its individual subject, to control its people, and also to control all the associations. Thus, sovereignty is the strongest power and supreme authority of the state, which is not restricted by law. It is not stopped by law. It is the supreme will of the state. It takes the shape of a command given by the state and is binding on all concerned. So when the state have supreme power, it can command the people to obey its rule. The power of the state is binding on all concerned. So the power of the state, it binds all the people, all the association and all the places, all the territory. Sovereignty has two aspects or dimensions, internal and external. Internal sovereignty means that the state has supreme power over all its citizens and association. So internal sovereignty means that the state has the greatest power, the highest power to control its citizen and association inside the state. It can compel obedience. Compel means it can force the people to obey its rule, to obey its law and command. Command means its order. External sovereignty means that the state is free from the control of any foreign state or alien rules. So external sovereignty means that the state is free from the control of any foreigner, any outsider or alien rules. For example, India is free from the control of the British at present. This means that our country India has external sovereignty. It is not controlled by any other countries. Our country are free. So when the country are free from the control of outsider, control of foreigners, that means they have external sovereignty. Now, let us come to the characteristics of sovereignty. Characteristics or the Nature of sovereignty. The following are the characteristics of sovereignty. The first characteristics of sovereignty is absoluteness. Absoluteness means free and unlimited. So the power of the state is free and unlimited. Unlimited means there is no endpoint. The state can use its power in any way. Sovereignty is absolute. It means that the power and authority of the state is supreme and unlimited. There is no other power within the state or outside the state superior to it or issue command to it. The state can make and enforce any law, and it is binding on all. Binding on all means that the law of the state, the order of the state, is tied to all the people. All the people have to obey the law of the state. The second characteristics of sovereignty is universality. Universality means for all. It applies to all. Sovereignty is universal. It is all comprehensive and applicable to all individuals and associations which are subjects to supreme power of the state. So sovereignty, the supreme power of the state, control all the individual, control all the associations which are subject to the supreme power of the state. No persons or association can claim exception from its law. So no person, no people, or no associations, organization can free from the law of the state. All they are under the control of the law of the state. All the people association are under the control of the supreme power of the state. The law made by the state are universal. It controls all the people. All the peoples are equal in the eyes of the law. It controls external behavior of each person and associations and thereby bring about social order. So the supreme power of the state, it controls the external behavior, it controls the behavior of the people and association in order to bring social order. To bring social order means to bring peace and harmony in the society, to stop the tension, problems and confusion in society. The third characteristics of sovereignty is permanence. Permanent means anything which lasts long, anything which remains forever. Therefore, the sovereignty, the supreme power of the state is permanent. If the ruler of the state is changed, it does not mean that the sovereign power of the state also changed. The supreme power of the state remains forever. It remains for a long time. Whoever rules the state just exercise its sovereign power but cannot change it. So any rulers, any ministers, president, prime minister, they cannot change the sovereignty of the state. They cannot change the supreme power of the state. The sovereignty of the state exists as long as the state exists. The death of the king or the overthrow of the government does not affect sovereignty. This is the reason why the people in England used to say, "The king is dead, long live the king." So the death of the king, the death of the ruler, the death of the president, prime minister does not affect sovereignty. If the ruler, if the king, if the chief minister, president, prime minister, if they die also, sovereignty will not die. Sovereignty still exists, still survive. The next characteristics of sovereignty is indivisibility. Indivisibility means it cannot be divided. The greatest power of the state cannot be divided. So sovereignty is the exclusive power of the state. The state do not share its supreme power with any other authority or group. In a state, there is only one sovereign. There is only one power. To divide more than one sovereign within the state is to break up the unity of the state. American statesman Calhoun has declared that sovereignty is an entire thing or a total concept. To divide it is to destroy it. Therefore, sovereignty is like the body of the people. We cannot divide the body of the people. We cannot divide the body of human being. If we divide it, it means to kill it. So similarly, Sovereignty also is like a body of the people. The fifth characteristics of sovereignty is inalienability. By inalienability, it means that the state cannot transfer its supreme power to the other state. It cannot separate its power. So, sovereignty is inalienable. By inalienability, it means that the state cannot part with its sovereignty, or the state cannot transfer its sovereignty without its own death. For example, a person cannot transfer his organs to the other person. If he transfers his organs to the other person, he will die. In the same way, the state also, if it transfers its power to the other state, our state will die. Sovereignty is the life and the soul of the state. Without sovereignty, there will be no state. The state will die without sovereignty, because sovereignty is the soul of the state, the heart of the state. Therefore, it cannot be alienated without destroying the state itself. For example, the supreme power of our country, the supreme power of India, cannot be transferred to the other countries. If India transfers its power to Pakistan, our country will die. We will be under the control of Pakistan. Another example is if our state, Meghalaya, if it transfers its supreme power to Assam, the power of our state will die. We will not have any power. The government of Assam will control all the people of Meghalaya, all the places of Meghalaya. The other example is a tree cannot alienate its right to sprout, or a man cannot transfer his life or personality to another without self-destruction. Thus, sovereignty is inalienability. It cannot be transferred to the other state. It cannot be transferred to the other countries, because sovereignty of the state is one and cannot be divided, cannot be transferred. From the above discussions, it all shows that sovereignty is absolute, universal, permanence, indivisibility, inalienable power of the state. So, all these are the characteristics and the nature of sovereignty.